What's going on, everyone? Welcome into another episode of Lutties-lookback. My name is Nick Luttrell. We've got a jam-packed show talking a lot about basketball, a little bit about Arkansas baseball, a little bit about Arkansas softball. And at the end of the show, we'll actually talk football for a second as well. But we'll start my show how we always do with my three big things, and we're still in basketball season, so we're talking basketball from Arkansas's 34-point loss on the road to Florida. You see the three things behind me. The first one, another failed opportunity for the Razorbacks to prove themselves. It's a big-time game, and they just lay an egg. It's just a dud. My second big thing, as expected, rebounding was the issue. We knew that going into it. Arkansas was going to have to slow down their bigs. If they couldn't, they'd lose the game by a big margin, and they did. And my third big thing is flush it and move on. I guess so. And we'll get to that later. Let's start with my first big thing. Another failed opportunity to prove themselves. Time and time again this season, Arkansas has had big games, especially big games on the road, where, if you really want to get into the analytics of it, a quad 1 opportunity, a quad 1A opportunity for the Razorbacks to bolster their resume and to help them out in their seeding in the NCAA tournament. And they've failed. Every time they've gone on the road and had an opportunity to do this, and I know a lot of these big games have been against really tough teams, but something that Tyler said earlier on our Let's Bet show a few days ago, they're still looking for that signature road win, and they're not going to get it. Now, hopefully it comes on a neutral site court. That'd be awesome in March Madness when they can maybe upset a 4 seed or something like that in the Sweet 16, but we haven't seen it. It's been rare that we've seen Arkansas pull off an upset this season, right? They've kind of done what we expected them to do for a lot of these games, for wins and losses. But, man, every now and then I just want to see them go on the road and beat a team and upset them. And now they've done that well, but the SEC isn't what it's been in the years past. And, Arkansas has gone on the road and had wins against Mississippi State and against LSU, but not quality teams, not Alabama, even though they had a double-digit lead in the second half. Not Florida, even though they looked okay in the first 5 or 6 minutes, and then it fell apart after that. It's these big games, these big opportunities that Arkansas hasn't done well this season. And I say that with a grain of salt because early on in their non-conference season, they did do well, but they didn't win the games. Remember on Thanksgiving Day, they played Duke pretty much down the last few minutes, then Duke started hitting some shots, and all of a sudden Duke won by 9 or something like that. Arkansas was in that game. Duke's one of the best teams in the country. So is Florida, absolutely. And Duke has only gotten better. So has Florida. Think about that game. You think about the Houston game, one they were kind of really never in it in that one. But it's these big games that just make me think, what is Arkansas's ceiling? And after this weekend and after really thinking about some of these games that they've had recently or games they've had this season against big opponents, against teams that should be better than them, Arkansas just lays an egg. And they aren't better than those teams that are ranked higher than them. They haven't pulled off that upset. So I don't have a lot of confidence that in March Madness in the NCAA tournament that they're going to do that. So the ceiling is Sweet 16, maybe Elite 8, maybe. And that's still a great season, but at one point I was thinking maybe Final Four. And you can't see it at this point. You just can't. That doesn't mean they're not a good basketball team, but you have to be terrific, especially terrific in March. And we'll see. We'll see with the Razorbacks. So that's a little bit of rambling of my first big point, but just a failed opportunity again for Arkansas to prove themselves on the road at Florida, but a loss for the Razorbacks. My second big thing is, as expected, getting in some nitty-gritty of this game, rebounding was the issue. We knew, if you followed this game, if you kept up with it, if not, this is what we knew going into the game. Arkansas needed to slow down their bigs. We knew it was going to be a problem with Arkansas going against the bigs that Florida has. Thomas Hulk, Ruben Chinyulu, Alex Condon. These are some big guys for Florida that can run the court, that can play really good basketball. They can play great defense, too. One of the top defensive efficiency teams in the country, and they showed it against Arkansas. And they showed it. And rebounding was an issue. The Razorbacks were out-rebounded by 20. That's got to be the most they've been out-rebounded by this season, I would guess. I didn't do that math. That fact just came to my head just now. It was not good. And that's been the Arkansas struggle this season, is the big guys. And I'm not gonna harp on that. I did that on last week's show. But one thing I still can't believe is that Nick Pringle is starting games. He started almost every game this season, if not every game this season. But he plays like 15 minutes. He played 11 minutes in this game, 0 for 1, 0 for 5 from the free throw line, and 2 rebounds. And probably 3 or 4 fouls. I can't even remember. I don't know how he's still starting the game. I don't know how he was good at Alabama. There's probably a reason he didn't stay at Alabama and he went down a peg to South Carolina, and he was good there. And now he kind of back up a level at Arkansas, and he's just not good. And they're going to have him play good if they want to make a run. And you know what? I still have a little bit of confidence that they can. I'm not saying he's as good as Jonas Aidoo last season, but remember Jonas Aidoo, the big guy for Arkansas last year, didn't do much the whole season. Then in March, he turned it around. He had one of his best games in the SEC tournament, and then he played his butt off in March Madness. So maybe that's what happens with Nick Pringle. That'd be awesome. He's a real lovable guy. I'd love for that to happen. But right now, it's just not working for Nick Pringle. Trevin Brazile also had a rough game, 3 points, 5 rebounds. He hasn't had a rough season, but he had a rough game. Malik Ewan has been getting better, but he was a little inefficient in this game. 11 points, but 4 of 12 shooting. He had 8 rebounds, so credit to him for being physical and playing this game. I think when I talk about physicality, Arkansas only had 1 block. I think they're like top 25 in the country in blocks per game. They had 1 block in this game. They allowed Florida to be the more physical team, and the more physical team won in this game. And my final big point, do you flush it and move on? I guess so. And before I go into that point further, I want you guys to hear from John Calipari what he had to say after the game.
Yeah, look, I've done this so long, stuff happens. And I told him we had a great February. We got 2 games left. Let's get out of here and go. I said it wasn't my team. This is not the team I've been coaching. But I did tell some guys, you got to do some soul searching and be honest with yourself. Why did you play the way you played? So not a whole else you can do. All I said was we had a great February. We just had a dud of a game. Make sure you look in the mirror and be honest with yourself about how you played. But look, we got 2 games left. We've been playing great. We had a dud. Let's go. Move on.
Yeah, so Coach Cal's moving on. His team's moving on. At some point, and he said that maybe once this season, so it's not too bad. And he said it once or twice last season. So I understand, and I have a lot of trust in Coach Cal. At some point, it does get a little annoying for him to say, yeah, that's not my team. That's not my team. That wasn't my team out there. I mean, come on. You got out-coached, man. Come on. That frustrates me a little bit. And I'm getting tired of him saying that's not my team out there. So hopefully there's not another game this season where he says that. And I don't think there will be. I have faith in the Razorbacks. If they're going to lose like that, they're not going to lose by 30-plus points ever again this season. Mark my words. It's March 2nd, 2026. I'm saying Arkansas won't lose by 30-plus points the rest of the season. Heck, the rest of next season. I don't think it's ever going to happen. Maybe a couple years from now. But I don't think a game like this is going to happen again. They ran into a really good team, and Arkansas was really not good. And they're fatigued right now. Darius Akos walking around in a boot for half the week. They're fatigued. They're not playing good. So you flush it, you move on, and I guess I'm okay with that. I guess I am. So let's do that. Let's move on. Let's go to baseball. Okay, Arkansas baseball. Let's talk about it. You see what happened over the weekend against UT Arlington. The first game on Friday was a disaster. A 4-3 loss. It should have been 4-0. Arkansas scored 3 runs in the bottom of the 9th. Almost walked it off, but didn't. UT Arlington helped them out. Ugly loss. And there was a lot of concern for the Razorbacks after that loss on Friday afternoon. But then Saturday and Sunday happened. And are we back up to, hey, Omaha? Or are we still like, oh, this team's like 2016 bad, or whenever they were really bad that one year that they didn't make the NCAA tournament when Dave Van Horn was head coach? I honestly don't know. You can't judge a team by their success this early on in the season. We're still in the first dozen games of the season, and you're saying this team's not going to make the NCAA tournament. We can't say that. We can say, hey, there are valid concerns with this Arkansas offense. There are valid concerns with what Arkansas chooses to swing at the plate. Don't swing at balls, swing at strikes. Hit the ball far. It's simple. I stopped playing baseball in middle school, so I'm really not the expert there. But Arkansas is a good team. Arkansas is a really good team. And they had a bad game on Friday. They did. But what really impressed me and what I really liked out of this team is what they came back and did the next 2 days to win the series. And what I hope to continue to see the rest of the season. Because there was some chatter after that game on Friday. There was some chatter like, hey, what's wrong with this Arkansas team? And granted, they had some guys out sick. They had some guys playing sick. It was not an ideal situation. I don't know who this UT Arlington guy was. It almost threw a complete game, 2-hitter, scoreless against the Hogs. I don't know who he is. And I know UT Arlington's not a good team. They beat TCU earlier in the year, so I'll throw that in there. But that was, I think they're 3-8 this year, and that was one of their wins. The other one was against Arkansas. The rest have been horrible. So they've shown to have some good games, have some not good games. But I still think this team's good. And I like the resolve that they showed because they played pissed off on Saturday and Sunday. And that's how you should play when you put up a poor performance on a Friday in front of a record crowd, you know. I think it was records. I think Saturday maybe was a record for the season, 10,900 or something. Let's talk about the three things we always talk about. We'll talk about with this, and we'll talk about with softball. Pitching, fielding, hitting. Pitching, phenomenal. Excellent, except for one guy, Gabe Gackle. Just like it was last season. Gabe Gackle, go to the bullpen, man, and then come in and throw your heart's desire out there. It worked for you last year. Let's just do it again. You don't got the stuff to be a starter. It just doesn't look. I haven't seen it, man. I just haven't seen it. And I'm not ready to fully give up on that. Maybe give him another start or two and then move him back. Because last year he came out of the bullpen, second half of the season, he was much better than starting. So maybe that's just how he is. But besides Gabe Gackle and his everyone else was great. Arkansas only gave up 4 runs in this 3-game series. 3 of them earned. 1 was off an error. 3 of them earned, all from Gabe Gackle. So Cole Gibler, Hunter Dietz, Mark Brissy, Colin Fisher, Steele Eves, all pitched. Didn't give up a single run. No earned runs for all of those pitchers. So well done to them, especially Hunter Dietz. A dominant day on Saturday and their 9-0 win. It helped out that they had the bats going. I wonder how different it would have been if Gabe Gackle had a 5-0 lead in the 4th inning or something like that. Could have been different. Maybe his offense will help him out next game. That'd be nice for him, but we'll see. Pitching was great. Fielding was great, except for the couple errors by Carson Brumbaugh, a freshman shortstop for the Razorbacks. Had 2 errors on Sunday. Not what you want to see, but I don't think that defines him. I think he's okay. And then lastly, hitting. Friday was bad. They had 4 hits. 2 of them came in the last inning. The other half were Cam Kojal hits. But again, I like the resolve. They came back the next day. 12 hits, 9 runs. And then Sunday, 14 hits, 11 runs. And that was only in a 7-inning game because they run ruled them. So I think this team's going to be okay. I don't think it's time to freak out. I do think there are still valid concerns. That's where I'm at with this Arkansas baseball team. Let's move on to softball. The Woo Pig weekend, or invitational. Oh, do we move on to softball, or what do we? Oh, we hear from Dave Van Horn. Yeah, that's right. Let's hear from Coach Van Horn what he had to say after the game.
Good series win after what went on Friday. You guys bounced back, had a good weekend. We got better as an offense, and we got another game on Tuesday, and then we got 4 next weekend. So enjoy the rest of the day, get a little rest tomorrow, and then we'll be back at it. Okay? Great job, guys. Enjoy your Sunday.
Okay, now let's move on to softball. The Woo Pig Classic going down at Bogle Park over the weekend. You see the 4 days that Arkansas played: Omaha, Boise State, Charlotte, and Kansas in their last game. Pretty dominant. All of the wins coming in run rule fashion in 5 innings, except for the one against Omaha. Omaha's a good team. They're one of the better mid-major programs in college softball. So for Arkansas to dominate on Thursday, had a little bit of a scare Saturday. That was the only critique I'd have from the weekend, but a great weekend for them. Robin Herron was terrific on the mound. Cam Harrison was great. Peyton Burnham was okay. The only critique on pitching, fielding, hitting, pitching, was Saylor Timmerman, the freshman, one of the best recruits Arkansas has ever had, I think, as far as a pitcher. Has had some moments this season, I think there's a reason Coach Deifel was giving her so much opportunity to go out there and play, because she's still figuring stuff out. And I think she's going to be a great pitcher for this Arkansas program when it's all said and done, but right now not looking amazing. So that's my one critique for pitching. Fielding was great. They had 1 error, but that's okay. Hitting, obviously amazing. The only way you run rule teams is, well, I guess you shut them out, but you also put up a bunch of runs, and that's what Arkansas did. Kaylee Wyckoff was great in a lot of these games, but especially was great in Arkansas's win over Omaha on Saturday. They wouldn't have won that game without Kaylee Wyckoff. She hit 2 home runs, I believe. Yeah, back-to-back home runs. I think one in the 4th, one in the 6th, or something like that. And that was huge for Arkansas to get that narrow win over a good Omaha team. And then how can we not talk about Sunday's game? Of course, a dominating win for the Razorbacks against Kansas, but a dominating performance from Dakota Kennedy. The girl who's at Arizona for the past 3 seasons has come to Arkansas, has come to Fayetteville, and has dominated. She hit 3 home runs on Sunday. 3 home runs, one of the only few players in Razorback softball history to hit 3+ home runs in a game. So that's pretty special from Dakota Kennedy. I think we're moving on to basketball now. Man, I put this show together so quickly. All right, let's go to basketball now. Men's basketball from over the weekend. We talked basketball with the Razorbacks. Let's talk some other basketball from the weekend. Our 4 teams. You see them behind me in the green. Our wins, red. Our losses only had 1 red. It shouldn't have been a loss for UAPB. Let's briefly talk about that. Mississippi Valley State is the worst team in college basketball. Seriously. When you look at the net rankings, the number 369 team or something like that. At the very bottom, Mississippi Valley State. UAPB was right next to them last year, and they've had a great season this year, especially for what they did last year was bad. Came back this year and been great. But to lose this game at home, brutal for UAPB, a 1-point loss to Mississippi Valley State. All other teams did great. Let's go to top left here, talk about Louisiana and Arkansas State. Red Wolves dominating a complete team effort. Jalen Hampton has been great this season. He had a double-double in this game. Red Wolves roll. We'll talk about them in the Sun Belt tournament coming up here in a minute or two. Little Rock and Southern Indiana. Trojans, USI is not a very good team, but the Trojans did what they needed to do with an 89-70 win. Almost 60% shooting from beyond the arc for the Trojans in this game. And then finally, UCA, a team that hasn't won a conference championship in 21 years, did so over this weekend. An 84-79 win over Queens. And then they all stuck around. Their fans, their players, coaches, they watched on the Jumbotron inside the Fair Center. They watched Austin Peay lose their game to Bellarmine. Bellarmine won, so then that gave UCA the conference championship, gave them the 1 seed in the Atlantic Sun tournament coming up this week. And you can't talk about UCA without talking about Cam Hunter and how great he has been this season for UCA. I've said it multiple times. They had Lane Taylor last year, and he was great. I never thought they'd get someone this quickly, this better than Lane Taylor, and it's Cam Hunter. The 5th time this season he's scored 30+ points. I think he was 6 for 6 from the free throw line in the last minute of the game. He is just a terrific, fun player to watch. He's a hometown kid from Bryant, a former Hornet, leading UCA to a conference championship, and it was really special to see him cut down the nets and also see second-year head coach John Schulman, for what they did last year and was a rebuild year and not very good, an injury-plagued year, to what they've done this year is really incredible. So here's some of what he had to say after the game.
When we met with Cam last year and he was talking about coming home, I was like, we're coming here to win a championship. Well, you believe that and you say it out there, and people look at you like you're flipping crazy. It's never been done here. Well, it has now, and that's what we came here to do. And but our work's still not done, and we understand that, and we know that. We just got to get some guys healthy, and but it's pretty special. It's anytime you can cut down a net and put a ring on your finger, it's pretty special. And like that net is his. I didn't do a whole lot. He did a lot.
Well, special stuff there in Conway on Saturday. Now, here is the bracket for this upcoming week. March 4th, 6th, 7th, and 8th in Jacksonville. It is the Atlantic Sun Tournament. UCA, the number 1 seed, they will play. Is that right? I thought they played in the evening, actually. Oh, that is right. I'm thinking the women's team. That is right. Yeah, they'll be the 1 seed. They'll play 11 a.m. on March 6th. And they're only, let's see, it's counted 1, 2, 3 wins away. They need 3 straight wins to make it to the NCAA tournament. Hopefully they can do that. That is a look at the ASUN bracket. Let's now look at the Sun Belt tournament bracket. This one is, gosh, even crazier than anything we've ever seen before. This is the second year they've done their bracket like this. I liked it in years past, like last year when A-State was a top 4 seed. This year, it's going to be tough. Arkansas State, I think they were one of 6 teams that were in a 6-way tie for second place, and it's unfortunate because they didn't lose. They lost a lot of the tiebreakers apparently. I don't know how it ended up going down, but A-State the 7 seed, so they'll have to win I think 5 games in 5 days to be crowned champions and to go to March Madness. So could be challenging, but hey, this is the first year for Ryan Panome. He's done really well for this Arkansas State men's basketball team. All right, let's go to women's basketball now. Again, green wins, red losses. Arkansas State, we talked about the men. Let's talk about the women. 87-52 win over Texas State in their regular season finale. 14 steals for the Red Wolves. They'll be the 3 seed in the SBC tournament coming up, which we'll talk about in a second. Little Rock falling to a good Southern Indiana team, 68-63. Trojans tried to come back, but ended up falling short in the fourth quarter. Shout out to Jordan Hallman, the senior on senior day with 23 points for Little Rock, but not enough to get the win. And then UCA, I think their 9th win in a row. I believe it was 9 wins in a row to close out the season, which is really an incredible feat. I remember talking about them on the show a couple months ago, month or two ago, month and a half, saying, I don't know about UCA, man. I just don't know if they're the same team they were last year. And I still think some of that's true. But, man, to win 9 straight has shown me that they have the potential. They have the potential. So we'll look at their bracket coming up here in a minute as well. And then UAPB getting a 69-48 win over Mississippi Valley State. I should also mention with Little Rock and with UAPB, they've still got next week, one more week of games before their conference tournament begins, just like the Razorback men's basketball team. So, yes, let's move on to the bracket now for the ASUN, as we just talked about for UCA. They will be the 3 seed. As I mentioned earlier, they'll play, I think that is Thursday, March 5th, I believe is Thursday. They'll play Thursday, 6:30, also in Jacksonville. So, man, wouldn't it be cool if both UCA teams went to Jacksonville and came back to Conway with wins headed to the NCAA tournament? That would be so much fun to talk about, and that's what we could be talking about here in a week and a half on the show in 2 weeks. So that would be really special. But it is an uphill challenge. UCA has 5 losses in the conference season. All of them are to the top 4 seeds, basically. They've lost to EKU, Stetson, Jacksonville. They've lost to Florida Gulf Coast twice. So that'll be a challenge for them. And then the Sun Belt, Arkansas State, man, they were close at times this season, and they've looked at times this season to be the best team in the conference. But ultimately, they fall to the 3 seed. Could face off against Georgia Southern, James Madison, Troy. We'll see who they end up facing, assuming they get the win in the quarterfinals. But I like A-State's chances. I almost like that they lost earlier in the year because I just think that gives them the extra edge that maybe other teams didn't have. So it's a chaotic bracket there, but you see Arkansas State, the 3 seed. They need 3 wins in 3 days to be crowned champions and to go back to the NCAA tournament for back-to-back seasons. All right, let's move on to my Luttie's Legend of the Week, and it's actually coming in the football world. Former Arkansas quarterback Taylon Green did something pretty incredible over the weekend. It was the NFL Combine in Indianapolis. If you're like me, you don't pay attention to the NFL Combine. You don't really care Okay, guys are fast, guys can jump, that's cool. But when guys set records, that's really special. Taylor Green, I think the second fastest 40 time ever by a quarterback in the NFL Combine. I think it was a 4.36, I think it was, in his 40-yard dash. Go to your backyard or go find a football field, run 40 yards, time yourself. I bet you don't get half of or I bet you don't get double of what he, I don't know. I'm not trying to judge you sitting at home there watching me on your TV. Taylor Green was exceptional as an Arkansas quarterback. They won 2 games last year, but I hope he does well in the NFL. 40-yard dash, the second fastest ever by a quarterback in the NFL Combine, but he also had the best times ever, or the best measurements ever in the long jump or broad jump and high jump. The best ever by a quarterback ever to compete in the NFL Combine. Taylor Green now holds that record. Out of all the quarterbacks, out of the Heisman Trophy winner, out of the Alabama quarterbacks, Taylor Green is that guy. And obviously these are just skill measurements that really don't matter in the long. I mean, they matter, but if you can't be an efficient quarterback on the football field, it doesn't matter. And Taylor Green has struggled with that at times this season. But he has the measurables, he has the tangibles to be a great quarterback. Will he make it as a great quarterback in the league? Maybe not. But he's my legend of the week because he went out there and had a great performance at the NFL Combine. All right, finally, let's move on to my Lutties look ahead. Let's go back to the basketball world. Arkansas needing a rebound win, and they get the Longhorns. A bit of a rivalry matchup. I know we see it more often in football, maybe a little bit of baseball, honestly. Basketball's quieted down in years past, but it's still a rivalry. It's still the Horns and the Hogs. The Razorbacks were the number 20 team in the country. I imagine that number will fall a little bit. I'm gonna peg them at 24. I think they'll still stay in the top 25, but as of this recording, they are ranked in the top 20. So that game Wednesday, 6 o'clock on ESPN2. Well, that is going to do it for this week's episode of Lutties Look Back. Thanks so much, everyone, for watching. We'll see you guys same time, same place next week.